Senior Special Assistant to the President on Industry, Trade and Investment, Office of the Vice President, Jumoke Oduwole, represents the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo. She reads out his message.
Indeed, Kaduna State has witnessed unprecedented levels of improvement in the ease of doing business. The 2018 World Bank Subnational Index, which measures how well state government laws and regulations are designed for efficiency, transparency, accessibility, enforceability in courts, and easy implementation, ranked Kaduna State the leading state in the country. Kaduna recorded the largest, yes indeed, please, a round of applause. Kaduna recorded the largest jump by improving its score from 55 to 65.97. by making it easier to start a business, register property, and obtain construction permits in the state.
Tim Jenkinson is Executive Vice President of Hala International, the third largest food producers in the world.
We need to prepare the ground for potential investment and articulate opportunities across priority sectors that are critical to the development and growth of the state. And more, but also very important, that everybody gets together to find solutions that optimize all stakeholder interests and establish a coherent policy where industry and business can flourish and develop the country in a sustainable way. So what's important is that we empower and incentivize entrepreneurs, industrialists, investors, both the local ones and the global ones, through continuous establishing of an environment and an ease of doing business. If that is being done, if the right elements are in place, I have no doubt that the development of this state will take off.
Hafsa Jumari, an associate of Busara Center for Behavioral Economics, looks at the challenges of scaling up investment in the agriculture sector.
Some of the things that people need to start thinking about, some tips for you investors in the ag value chain is try and know who came before you in this space. You know, what have they done? What has failed? You know, detail the farmer journey. What does a day in the life of the farmer look like? How is their consumption side interacting with their production side? So their family, you know, how they interact with their household actually impacts what they do in the field. Validate all your assumptions. So you tend to get cases where people, you know, assume that herdsmen are doing this for certain reasons. You know, maybe they feel entitled to the trade, but you'd never get data to back that. So try and validate your assumptions, pre-test your assumptions, pilots. Again, I've found that a lot of times, like Nigeria is like a country of 1 billion pilots. You know, some NGO will come up with a new product, a new model, a new program, test it out for 2 weeks and it's done. But what happens is that those things actually influence how farmers would interact with other models going forward. So you need to research on those. And you as investors don't have, you know, you don't have the leeway to just run pilots. So you need to start thinking about these things when you go forward.
Can I have more of that, please? This is a specialized presentation.
And next is a plenary session on unlocking the potentials of livestock value chain, moderated by the Commissioner for Agriculture, Manzo Megwari.
We understand that livestock is the very foundation of the rural economy. In fact, it is stated that it is the current asset on the balance sheet of players in the rural economy. We are aware that there are quite a number of programs that have been well thought out by the federal government. How do these programs seek to address the issues that have bedeviled the rural economy?
I think because basically, our method of production or how husbandry is done, there is no clarity that captures the importance of livestock to be able to present it as important. So it could be important on the balance sheet of the rural economy, but it's not important on the balance sheet of the formal economy. This has to do with A, the method of production, basically, the type, and the value itself, the value system and the value addition. So livestock can be seen today as a living and working asset that is basically the cow. The associated benefit is not being tapped into.
All the agricultural produce and livestock products need to be evacuated into the processing plants. Milk is perishable. If you don't store it at a minimum temperature or you don't evacuate it immediately, it will degrade. Next is the issue of, for instance, sensitization. A large number of the holders of those livestock are holding it for traditional purposes. We need to sensitize them to look at it as a business, to look at it as an asset that can be monetized, and not necessarily holding a large stock of animals without extracting any economic value from it.
The next plenary session borders on the ease of doing business and expanding investment frontiers. The moderator speaks about the reforms and policies so far embarked upon by the Kaduna state government in creating an enabling environment for investors.
Well, from the ranking that is being done by the World Bank, which other support from the World Bank was given to the state government, if there is any? Which role did the World Bank play in these reforms?
Investment and increasing the opportunities for investors to come in is very important for all states to be able to develop their economy, to diversify the sources of income and have a larger fiscal space for providing development to the people. In this area, we have been engaging from the World Bank side directly with Kaduna State on a range of areas. Most importantly and most directly relevant to this forum, there is a large program of about $350 million, which was approved some time ago, and we're very hopeful is going to start operationalizing very soon. But that directly works in two areas. One is on improving the environment for doing business, and the second is on improving fiscal transparency and accountability. And actually both these areas go hand in hand, because increased transparency by the government of its procedures, its processes, of its financial status, of its performance, gives more confidence to those coming in with investment on what on how robust the procedures and processes are, and how willing the state would be to engage with them in this area.
So how is General Electric coming in to support the government of Nigeria around the area of doing business?
Panelists contribute to expanding the frontiers of what is currently obtainable in the state's investment plans.
I think one of the critical challenges that we've been discussing with the federal and state government levels, and particularly with the Kaduna state government, has been, how do we not go back to the era of the past where projects were greenlit without the proper feasibility studies? I heard His Excellency talk about the Kudenda project. That's been something that's been ongoing for almost a decade, where you didn't do the proper feasibility studies on the fuel and the fuel transport for a power plant, and then you greenlit the project. Unfortunately, that has led to investment that has not borne the fruit of development for the country. So I think primarily what we're working on, instead of necessarily just saying, let's focus on getting the deals done, let's focus on getting the infrastructure into the ground, can we make sure the feasibility studies, the project development, the planning is done appropriately? Then we move into the execution. I think that's a very big critical thing.
Kaduna State prepares for the next CAD Invest in 2020 with hopes of making much impact in its economy.